And we are live. Hey, impromptu, man. So getting this stuff together, man. Let's give the people a little bit of time to join in if they are. I'll say give them like a couple minutes.
Yeah.
You know, man, busy time though, man. I'm looking forward though. I'm gonna go to the movies tomorrow, man. Like I said, I'm gonna check out. I think we got Flight or Fight, which is Josh Hartnett.
Yeah.
I think he's doing some Passenger 57 shit.
Type shit. Yeah,
Then we got Kerry Washington and them. I don't know what that movie's called. Kerry Washington and Omar Sy. I think Omar Sy is good enough to be big in America, man. But
we got Final Destination.
and that's coming this week, right?
This week too.
Yeah.
The last one.
So Shadow Force, Fight or Flight, and then this week we got Final Destination.
What's that one called? Final Destination Bloodline? Or
Yeah, I think it is Bloodlines. That's all. Is that Tony Todd's final film?
It is his final film.
It's wild because I've been playing this Indiana Jones game, and that's one of his final roles too. So he's in the game, and I felt bad. There was a point I had to beat him up, and I was like, "Damn, yo!" And I felt bad because he wasn't too far since he had passed away.
Right.
Like it was probably like a month or two after when that game came out, and I beat Tony Todd's ass, yo. I was like, yo. And then I hit him with the whip, yo.
Oh man, you whoop on Tony Todd like that, bro.
Yeah, this is crazy, but I guess we can get it started, man. Hey, folks, welcome to Class of Cinematics Live. We're going to chop it up with you a little bit, talk about what's been going on in the film world and stuff like that. Just what's been happening with our lives, too, as well, you know, as it relates to film.
And we are not oblivious to what today is, so especially
Happy Mother's Day, man.
to
Shout out
all,
to the mothers out
all
there.
the mothers out there, especially,
Yeah.
Special shout out to Mama Monk and Mama Blockbuster.
Yeah, you know, my monk said she was going to go see Sinners today, so I'm looking forward to hearing her impressions, because she said, I don't like to do the horror movies, even though you took me to all the horror movies when I was a kid, had me up like losing sleep, you know what I'm saying, in the third grade, going into class tired, you know what I'm saying, because I watched Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember them days, you know.
And my mom was telling me not too long ago she don't watch too many horrors anymore. I was like, man, what? That was the thing. That's where my love for him came from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't get it.
Just, times change, people change.
Yeah, man. So encourage y'all to participate in the chat. You got any questions or you want some comments on what we're talking about, and let us know. But my first story, though, I think it's the only story I got news-wise today, is that number 47, aka President Trump, has proposed a tariff on films made in foreign lands, man. So this is crazy, man. My man's been tariffing everything, but without getting into the politics of it, I just want to speak on what this may mean for the film industry if this goes through. Because the crazy thing is, he's proposing I think it was about 100% tariff on films made in foreign countries, man. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy, man. So consider this. Imagine a film like this about to come out, man. We got the new Mission Impossible coming out. Tom Cruise spent a lot of time on this, trying to act like he's going to die on film for our entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like, the stuff get crazier and crazier, man. I keep thinking he's trying to die making a movie. I think that's his goal. But a lot of that film is shot in foreign countries, man. And just recently, I'm thinking about what about the film we just covered, Crimson Tide?
Oh, Crimson Tide, yeah.
Crimson Tide. Half of that was shot in France because they didn't have any help from the U.S. military. Navy didn't want to help them out. So France volunteered their Navy facilities and some of their ships so they could film some stuff. So what happens with a film like that? So would a film like that have to be costing more to be screened here? Like, does the price of the ticket go up?
Or even like our next door neighbor, Canada. Look at how many films are filmed in Canada to portray New York or whatever else. You know what I'm saying? Are they going to bust heads for that too?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And I guess his reasoning is it will cause the U.S. film market to be more competitive. Or like, what more do you want them to do? Like, there's already cities. I know Louisiana is one of them. There's certain states and cities around the nation that give you tax breaks for shooting there, give you incentives, film credits, things like that. So. And I don't think you could do much more than that because the market is a market. I mean, look at Hollywood, and it's the standard. Still most of the films are made there But like, how's it going to help them if the reason they're shooting in the foreign markets is because they have better incentives to film there.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Vancouver, Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Didn't have to shoot in the real Bronx, so they probably saved a lot of money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's
crazy.
also, they don't have to go through all the red tape. You know what I'm saying? Getting the permits and all that stuff. Because, I mean, when you look at the French Connection, you know what I'm saying? They were on-site filming, and, I mean, look what happened when they did the car chase.
Yeah, you
know
go
what
over
I'm
there,
saying?
you can punch a stunt man in the head.
Exactly.
And,
I mean, they
it's
actually hit somebody on their way to work. You know what I'm saying? And then had to pay him off so he didn't sue.
Yeah,
I mean,
man. So, this, I don't know what this implicates. So then, all right, the tariff usually is passed on to the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to see, let's just say Mission Impossible 8 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So will my ticket then be $30 instead of $15?
Right.
Like what what are the implications of this, man?
Yeah.
Out of control, bro.
It really is. It's getting, and it looks like it's getting worse before it gets better.
Yeah, man.
That's, well.
I personally hope cooler heads prevail in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, like, we're just going to probably just see less films being made in general.
Yeah.
This is not going to boost the American filmmaking industry. It's going to make less films get made because they can't offset those costs by shooting in locations that, give film breaks, breaks for shooting films in those places. But also think about this. Then we're going to see probably a rise in more CG, more blue screen, fake artificial. The film might require an Alpha Tower scene, bro.
Yeah.
So now we got to look at guys standing in front of a screen.
Excuse me.
In front of a fake, probably AI generated Eiffel Tower, bro.
See, I just sneeze. I'm allergic to terrorists.
like we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. I just hope cooler heads prevail, man. This guy's nuts, man. Right
and
now.
then just think of real quick. I love independent films. Think of how these tariffs will affect the production value of independent films. They're already coming in on a low budget.
Yeah, man.
You can't inflate a low budget film. You know what I'm saying? They squeak by, and then some of these are really good. These are where in today's time we get original concepts. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't see a lot of super original films coming out with theatrical releases. They're not mainstream, So
man.
like I
It's
said,
crazy, bro.
Cooler heads gotta prevail. But speaking of cooler, let's talk about something cooler. So yesterday we went to Monster Mania 63. It was up in the Baltimore Harbor, the Hilton. It was a very fancy hotel. This one was cool. This was my third Monster Mania convention going through personally, and this one, I mean, it had a pretty cool, ensemble of people that you could meet. It was the Lost Boys reunion. So Kiefer Sullivan was there. You had Jason Patrick there. Billy Riff was there. Alex Winter. We also got Vincent Vinny D'Onofrio, Kingpin. There you go. Wilson Fisk. You know what I'm saying? You also had John Cusack was there. But I mean, amongst others. But just with personal reaction and things like that, it was cool. I guess elephant in the room, the high marquee guy for me there was obviously Kiefer Sullivan, who was David in the Lost Boys. Yeah, Sullivan. He was
Sutherland.
Oh,
You said Sullivan.
did I? Oh,
Two times.
Did I? Oh, well, yeah, Kiefer. David from Lost Boys. But it was wild because with him, I mean, he was a cool dude. These are all real people, and it's nice when you kind of see that firsthand that these guys or women are real, actual people. He actually had a lot of tattoos. He tried to cover them up slight, but
he was just covering. He got a lot of stuff on his arm.
Got a lot of stuff on his
arm.
arm.
I didn't know that.
But it was it was cool because the way with seeing him, you get a firsthand glance at the difference in how not only the actors are treated by their profile of how much name or how much weight their name carries, but then also how they carry themselves with it. Like I said, he was a cool dude, cool demeanor, but you could tell also that it was limited interaction. You couldn't take no photos, no quotes. It was very cut and dry how you whatever items you want to get signed if you want to do that. Plus with the pricing, some of these individuals they're there for the fandom, obviously, but also to collect the bag. To collect the bag. A lot of these are cash transactions, so who knows what's what they're doing with it. And
they're not claiming it on their taxes.
That's personal. But they are getting paid heavily for their time. You know what I'm saying? Which is cool when you can actually get your fan experience, and it makes it worth your while. Because as a fan, I mean, these things, they're not cheap. These signatures, they're
cheap,
not
bro.
cheap at
Not
all.
at all, man.
But then a lot of these experiences are once in a lifetime experiences. You know what I mean? So like to see the a better part of the Lost Boys cast for me personally was really cool. Like I said, Kiefer was cool, but I liked meeting my interaction with Jason Patrick. He seemed a little more willing to talk a little bit, a little more down to earth. And like I said, it's a different dynamic when you look at the filmographies of the two. Whereas, Jason Patrick played Michael in Lost Boys. He was the front runner of that film. I mean, he was the one.
Kiefer stole that film.
Kiefer stole the role,
Yeah.
but the film revolved around Michael. You know what I'm saying? It was his story and stuff. So it was
my favorite part though. When I was a kid, it's like, you're eating maggots, Michael.
Yeah.
How do they taste?
How do they taste? Yeah. Kiefer was a bully in that joint. Like, I kid you not, we said it before when we did Stand By Me, but I'm a firm believer that Kiefer Sutherland, who played Ace in Stand By Me, Ace got bit, and then he became the vampire in Lost Boys and just switched his name so nobody knew who he was.
Yeah, that was wild, man. Shout out to Rich, man. Thanks for checking in. I think
Shout
you just became a member too.
Oh,
wow.
hey, what
Appreciate
up, Rich?
that, man.
But
Shout out to Mama Blockbuster. Just hanging out.
All right. And then it was kind of it was underwhelming. I mean, all these individuals, all these meetings were cool for what they were, but I was a little underwhelmed with Alex Winter. He didn't have a lot to say. He was he played
Party time.
Marco. Yeah, he played Marco in Lost Boys. He was the first vampire to get killed, but then he's most famously known for playing Bill S. Preston Esquire in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Eric Tarr.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be go a little different, but it was kind of wild because they had all the Lost Boys people like kind of in a row, and then he was off to the side, even had a different colored banner. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he, whereas everybody else, they were like, in sync with how you could get, meet him and get things signed if you needed. He was kind of off on his own, and it kind of felt like that with the interaction as well. Like he was a little just kind of just there strictly business. You know what I mean?
What's her name, man? She was cool because Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah.
I might know her from Swamp Thing. She got killed by her husband in Creep Show. She was also in Escape from New York. Just cool. The Fog. Was probably my favorite film that she's been in. But it was cool just seeing her. I mean, she's like 80 now, dude. I just found that out yesterday.
Yeah.
But she was just really cool, really chill, just warm, like hey, welcome, and gave us some info. Said she's down in Kentucky filming a project right now with an up-and-coming director, but she couldn't speak on it.
Yeah, I tried to sneak it down. I was like, what's the name of the film?
Yeah, we was trying to get the name from her, but she wouldn't give us that. And even then, after a little while later yesterday, I went online trying to find any film news on her. So she's good at keeping secrets.
Yeah, she didn't crack. But I mean, I just had to tell her. I mean, just think of how dope it is when you can meet one actress that worked with all of the horror greats. I mean, she worked with Stephen King, Romero, Carpenter, and Wes Craven. I mean, come on, man. That's a catalog that's more impressive than.
And she had a hit TV show. Like I didn't even see that. It was something with. I don't know. That's beyond my era. Mod and something like that. But shout out to Vinny D.
Vinny D. I was just about to say Vincent. Vinny D. I'm not going to keep butchering his last name, but he was
Vincent D'Onofrio.
There we go. He was so cool and so down to earth. You know what I'm saying? Like just meeting his demeanor as what you would get from when you look at him like playing Wilson Fisk on the Daredevil show. That was kind of like how he was when we were talking to him. Like just real mild mannered, but also firm with his presence. Like he didn't really come off like an asshole in any way, shape, or form, but also kind of gave the energy like he's not somebody you really want to mess with either. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I didn't get that.
Really?
You know what got me? The fact that I thought he was going to be taller than you.
Yeah.
He's showing 6'4" on his bio, but he's probably like 6'2".
Yeah.
His body was taller than him. And the crazy thing about it, I weigh more than him right now, bro.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
super skinny. So
Yeah.
so then it got me. I was like, yo, the Kingpin is not real. It's a fat suit that he's wearing
Yeah.
on Daredevil to look all big like that, man. And it was
Yeah.
so wild. But he was a little chatty too, man. Because Bob asked him what his favorite
Villain roles were.
villain roles were, you know. So that was kind of interesting.
And it was cool because, you know, out the gate, his instinctively his first role that he brought up was his role in The Cell, which that character was so cool.
Yeah,
but
really
then
good movie.
what really surprised me, I didn't expect him to do this. There's a film that he was in called Chained. It's a very, very dark film where pretty much long and short, he kidnaps a kid and keeps him chained to the bed in this like little farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. The concept is dark. I suggest anybody who's got, you know, thick stomach, you know, thick skin, watch it. It's rough subject matter. It is rough subject matter, but to see him portray himself the way he did in that role was just like it was unsettling. You know what I'm saying? Even this was a bad parental move on my part, but you know, when my daughter was younger, she expressed an interest in starting to watch horrors with me. You know, instead of always going off to
you led it with that.
I led with that because it wasn't supernatural.
Wow.
I thought, okay, well, this won't keep her up at night. There's no monsters in it, but wrong, because he was a real life monster. And man, the questions that I was asked after this film was just like, oh man,
Yeah, you was
damn.
wild with that, man.
Shouldn't have did that. You live and you
wild.
learn, right?
You was
Yeah.
No,
But
that's cool, man.
also, you know, the dude, what's his name? David Howard Thornton. He most people know him as playing Art the Clown in the Terrorizer franchise. He was he surprisingly enough, he had the longest line. He was the one that everybody was there to see. It seemed like, which I get it because, you know, the Terrifier franchise is the new wave. Art the Clown is the new horror icon that a lot of people follow. And I mean, I get it. That franchise, it is graphic, it's gory, kind of excessively gory, over the top with the stuff that it does. But
Oh, okay, there we go. All right. We back or nah? All right, yeah,
We
I think
back?
we back now. We should be back with the audio.
so
Are we back, chat? With the audio? Yeah, y'all got. Oh, they're on a delay, so it's gonna take them a
All
second to hear us or before they react. But yeah, we back.
all right. So yeah, I don't know if y'all heard the last part, but just a quick run back. David Howard Thornton, he's the guy who plays Art the Clown in the Terrorizer franchise or the Terrifier
We
franchise.
back. Yeah.
Cool. And you know, thing about him is this character was brought to us initially from All Hallows Eve, which is a low budget horror anthology film, but he was the fan favorite in the third story of the first installment. And it was wild because initially he was played by a different actor, and once he got an independent film, they decided to go with David Howard Thornton, which this kind of like
skyrocketed. Art the Clown put him in a lot of households, which is wild because Terrifier, the whole franchise, all of these movies are so excessively gory and rough subject matter. I mean, he goes from being a killer clown to being a killer clown that's actually like an entity of sorts. So he don't die. He keeps coming back. In the third one, he's dressed up like Santa Claus. I mean, like they really push the envelopes with not just with this particular horror figure, but with the way that he kills people. And it was surprising because he had the longest line. Like there was a lot of people dressed up like him.
I don't get the popularity of these films. Like I watched a little bit of one. There was one scene I saw, and it was just, I'm like, all right, she's dead already, bro. Why you still stabbing this chick? And he's just laughing and just I'm like, yo, this is nuts, man. But there is a big horror fan base that loves this gory, like they're called them gore hounds, and I was like, I kind of need more than just bloody violence like this. Like I need something else in there to keep me interested.
With me, it seems like they traded in the bloody violence with the insinuation of, I like when, they kind of make you have to use your imagination a little more. Like
a little bit.
You see the killer creeping around, and then you might see his hand go up with the knife, and then you see a little bit of the aftermath. You know what I'm saying? It leaves more to the mind. You know what I mean? Which they're really getting away from that. It's like, man, just like I'm not gonna sit and watch the TLC channel when they're doing an operation on somebody.
My mom be watching that joints, man. I'm
like
the opposite. Like I could watch The Walking Dead while I'm eating lasagna. Like that doesn't bother me. Yeah. But if that live surgery channel is on, I can't look at that. Yeah. Like if I know it's real, I can't
it's a real intestine. I can't
look at that, dude.
Nah.
I'm out.
And one thing is, I can't ever eat shrimp again while I watch The Substance.
I don't eat shrimp anyway. I'm allergic.
See,
but
the way Dennis Quaid was eating them shrimps, dog, it was gross.
That was the nastiest scene in that movie. That was worse.
Exactly.
As crazy as that movie got, that was the worst scene in there. Him eating the dinner, eating the shrimp, that was wild, man.
No steak and shrimp for me when I watched that movie.
Yeah,
but and then the last person that I met, this was just kind of off the whim. It was really cool, which I did not know, but they started making a Return of the Living Dead comic book. It's kind of it's not majorly produced or anything, but the artist of that comic book, he was there. His name is Buzz Hassan. And right now they have 3 issues out. They're working on the 4th one. And you can, from what he told me, you can go to any comic book store and request them. But the ones that he was offering were different cover art. So, of course, he had the first...
Alternate covers?
Alternate cover, yeah. So, the issue number 1 was an alternate cover with Tarman on it, who's my favorite horror guy across the board. And... so I had to get that, and then he signed the comic book for me for free, which that was really cool. And so with the advice that he told me, I was like, shit, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the comic book store and see if I can't get the other ones and see. And he also told me that when you go that route, that they're more moderately priced. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, cool, that's cool. That's the first person through the whole interaction that was worried about saving some money, not spending more.
That's cool. I think that was probably the best part of it for me. Aside from meeting some of the celebrities, but they do have a what they call like a vendors area, which kind of wraps around the whole thing. And it's cool because people are selling everything, man. There's stuff that people made themselves. There's collectibles. There's toys. There's hard to find like videos and DVDs, stuff like that, which I think makes it cool, man. Just talking to these people, you know what I'm saying, and rubbing shoulders with them. So that makes it fun to me, man. I could spend hours just walking around looking at all the displays and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Man. But I will say this though, man. I wish this was a little bit of a bigger convention, you know what I'm saying? They do have several dates a year in different parts of the country. I think they do have a Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It passes through there, Philadelphia. Other states, mostly East Coast. I think they hit Massachusetts out there too a little bit, but I feel like it could be a lot bigger, man. Especially when I'm kind of spoiled going to something like AwesomeCon, which is probably like 4 times as big as this. You know what I'm saying? But I think maybe because of the niche aspect of it, or I don't know. I don't know what you do with that.
Like we was talking about on the way home, like with AwesomeCon, it's they cast a wider net, whereas this is more to a specific group. You know what I'm saying? Even though, I mean, you do have people there, like for instance, Lou Diamond Phillips. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The roles that he played are more. He's more notable for
definitely.
non-horror films, but he did have a couple, in his catalog.
I feel like that's what a lot of these actors, or they kind of, they might have got their chops or got notarized by the horror films, but Sutherland has probably done more non-horror films than horror,
yeah.
At this point. Even Lou Diamond Phillips, or even Vincent D'Onofrio.
Indeed, yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Like, I feel like something like this could be rolled up into one of these bigger conventions. Like, what if they just got a wing of Awesome Cons? Like, look, we want to rent this whole block, bring the same thing we're doing in there, and I think they would have even more exposure and more traffic coming through. Because the crazy thing about it is the vendors. That's my favorite part of it. You got the same kind of vendors that I've seen at Monster Mania Con that'll be at Awesome Con. They're just in a different environment, but they're still selling the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of overlap. Like even my guy that I ran into again, the guy that I got you might see it up there actually in the back, man. If you get, if I tilt the camera up, I can't. But there's a Candyman light box that I bought from him, customized joint. And I saw him at the first time I met him was at Awesome Con, you know what I'm saying? And then I see him here at Monster Mania Con, and it's like, yo, this is crazy. But I don't know. But I just wish it was bigger though,
Yeah, no, that would be cool. But like I said, it's kind of more condensed because of the focus group, and then you also got to consider that with it being a horror element, I think that they would thrive in October more because it's spooky season. People might be a little more in the mood.
That might be more.
But you can't go to all these different places. Like all of the ones that I've been to previously, the other two, they were also in a different venue. It was in Timonium, and it was in the early part of October. So
but you can't do October in all the cities.
That's what I'm saying.
If you're running the tour.
So I think that's why they kind of led with someone like Kiefer Sutherland, who kind of has more than just horror films in his catalog. But for somebody, for instance, like my man who was in Land of the Dead, this is a convention that he could thrive in.
Yeah, I will say this though. I'm like, I don't know. I wish they had more security though, because like you could totally get a burner in there. Like, I'm just saying, it's just wild though. It's just so open to me, dude. Like, at least Awesome Con, you gotta go through the metal detectors. They inspect your props for your cosplay to make sure you're not bringing a real sword in the joint. Like it's a little different, man. But I don't know.
There was no
man.
security. We could have definitely got some gangster shit if we wanted to.
Only security they had was in that autograph room. In case you try to
or you try to sneak a picture, they gonna run up on you and be like, "Give me your phone."
Yeah, if you was trying to see if Kiefer Sutherland really knew those fighting moves from 24,
right?
You might have a problem, man. But it was a good time, man. I definitely encourage you to check it out. I don't know if I gotta look on the scale. I don't know if it's the biggest horror convention, but they are pretty popular though.
Yeah, and I mean they pull some big names.
Guests, yeah.
I mean, think of it like Monster Mania. Okay, this one we rung off the cast though. The one that we went to previously, that's where we met Billy Zane, we met Tony Todd, Bruce Campbell was the high marquee actor that they had there. The one I went to previously before that, Robert Englund was there. Got to rub elbows with him. Also, Lou Diamond, a couple other familiar faces. Robert Patrick, who was the T-1000, he was there. Mankind, the wrestler, or Mick Foley. So I mean, they do get some pretty prominent names, especially when it comes to the horror genre. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you, man. But I guess we got some more movie stuff, man. Anything else you want to mention about it?
Oh, now is the time to back up the trailer load?
Yeah, we got the trailers coming. We have been seeing some film trailers of late. I've been to the movies a little bit, so I've been seeing stuff playing in the theater. And stuff's coming out online too, so oddly enough, the first one that I saw recently was him. Actually, the first time I saw it was when I saw Sinners the first time, which was interesting because right after that movie went out, I went online to look for the trailer, and apparently you could only see it at that time if you went to see Sinners. So I think maybe later that week they put it out on the internet.
Yeah, because I ain't been to the theaters and I'm seeing joints on YouTube.
Yeah, but this one's wild looking. It's produced by Jordan Peele, and it's kind of wild how they lead with that. So everybody thinks that it's directed by Jordan Peele, but it's not. Who's the director on this? I want to get in their props because they usually get drowned in this stuff.
Damn, I didn't even write down the director.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. He's not even.
I put.
He's not
Oh no,
even
you know what?
listed.
Directed by Justin Tipping.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Justin Tipping, so that's cool, man. So just want to give him his props before
Yeah,
we get
definitely.
into it. But it's a Monkey Paw production, and it looks like to be a young football prospect who is being shown the ropes by a veteran, and it looks like a veteran being played by Marlon Wayans, and this look like it's going to get crazy in the psychological aspect. I don't know where this film's going to go, but the trailer looks really intense, man.
Yes.
And shout out to Marlon Wayans, who looks like he's bringing it in this
Yes, he
because
does.
people know him from the Wayans brothers kind of stuff, but I have seen some films where he is flexing some dramatic chops,
Yeah.
and I think he's going to kill it in this film, bro.
Absolutely, and I mean the film drops September 19th, so everybody be on the lookout for it. But what I like about the trailer, what really pulled me in, it starts like a Nike commercial. Like you think they're going to be selling like shirts or cleats or something, and then it really it gets real dark, and I think that personally it's going to focus on like the darker side of how hard these athletes have to push themselves to make it to the professional level. You know what I'm saying? Not only for themselves, but the people around them. You know what I mean? Like it gets, the stuff that they'll put their body through and how it must weigh on them mentally, constantly feeling like every step you take is a competition, if not with someone else, then with yourself. I think that, there's going to be a lot of metaphorical stuff going on where, we do see like some monster imagery going on the back end of the trailer. So we don't really know if it's, in his mind or if it's actually on the field, but that's a really cool approach because I watched a lot of sports films and I haven't seen many take that kind of spin on it if that's what they're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So that's I'm definitely on the lookout for that one, September 19th. And also just of the trailers that we're gonna bring up, I really like because all four of them kind of hit a certain note for me, and these were trailers done right where they kind of they don't spoil the plot. They pull you in just off of a little bit spot checks here and there, giving us just just enough to pull our interest, pique our interest of the film without spoiling. And a lot of times trailers will do that. So the first one that I'm gonna bring up, the first one I actually saw that was on the list was 28 Years Later, which is gonna drop on June 20th. And this one I'm all in, big fan of the first two films. But what stood out most is we're getting back to the original writer and director of the first film.
Danny Boyle.
With director Danny Boyle, and the writer was Alex Garland. They definitely strayed off that path in 28 weeks later. And you could feel it. You could see it was just a completely different film aesthetically, not conceptually, because overall we're getting the survivors versus the infected. This one looks like it's going to be no different from that concept, but it's taking place 28 years after the initial virus spread. You know what I'm saying? Which there's a lot of liberties, there's a lot of things that they can do, because obviously, even though this franchise kind of separated the tone of their zombies, gave us a completely different look and aesthetic of what these zombies are. They're not the living dead. They are actually infected human beings. Virus, the rage, so to speak. So you would think
they fast as shit.
they are super fast.
I don't know, man. Like it makes you wonder: would you want to live in this world 28 years
No.
later of this? Like,
No, I mean Return of the Living Dead is my favorite film, but I don't want to live in a zombie apocalypse. I don't. So, but the thing is with this one is like, what kind of is tripping me out is like when we see these zombies now look aged. So it's giving us the impression that this is not the Living Dead. We see that these zombies at some point get older and they possibly could die off. You know what I'm saying? Because anything that's alive has to eat to survive. You know what I'm saying? So we get that, but these zombies that's running after them, they're still fast as shit, but they look like they should be running with walkers.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, I don't know, dude. If I look at it just like, man, I don't know. I gotta probably take myself out eventually, or I would just go the zombie route.
You know what?
I would turn into a zombie and just ride it out.
You know what would trip me out? I would love to see if
nuts,
if
man.
one of these zombies like would actually be chasing you on like the motorized scooter, like the thing that someone has to ride around the shopping cart
my
if they're
God.
unable to walk through.
Yeah, I
like,
know, right?
You know what I'm
Man,
saying?
you know what? I think these zombies will probably burn out or eventually deteriorate. I don't think they're like the Romero
No.
perma zombies, because I feel like if you didn't eat after a while, your body would just waste away. You would get skinny, and like, because it's like with the Romero zombie, I guess the theory is that the infection keeps your flesh from rotting as it would naturally and deteriorating in that way. You don't need food really, but you're still thirst to try to eat, but even though the food doesn't nourish your body or whatever, so they're a little bit different. Like at least Max Brooks's book, the World War Z book, kind of broke it down in an interesting way. It's like that infection, it keeps other bacteria that would normally break your body down and attack dead flesh from doing that. So these things they stay they don't deteriorate, except over time they wear down, but it's not like you leave a body out for 6 months, it's going to be bones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Outside, but this virus prevents that from happening. But these things, I think, on the other hand, these probably wear down eventually a little bit faster. Remember in the first film when they had the one tied up, and he was like, "Yeah, we're learning so much from him. We're learning how long he can live, and that kind of stuff."
And
so
you even see at the end where when they're off in it looked like they were in Ireland somewhere, just in this big grassy area, and then as the plane is going over, he flies over some of the infected that are just kind of laid out in the field, and they're too weak to move. They just kind of they hear the plane, they get up, make a little grunt and growl, and then lay back down. So I mean, that's the thing. These are not dead creatures that came back to life or that are still have their motor skills. These are people that are infected. So it's a, like I said, very, very cool approach to switch the whole dynamic of the zombie. You know what I'm saying, with this film. So I'm definitely looking forward for this one. And like I said, it's going to drop for us again on June 20th. So be on the lookout.
I'm looking forward to that. So let me see, what's the next one I got on here? I got Highest to Lowest, which surprised me. I didn't know this thing was in the works, but this is going to be the latest from Denzel and Spike Lee. So they're teaming up again, which I think is really cool, man, to have these guys back together one last time.
Absolutely.
Who knows, man? Denzel could quit acting tomorrow. We don't know. So I got to look up the story of this real quick. Because all we get is a bunch of imagery, which I appreciate. They're not giving away the movie too much. But from what I could tell, what do we got? I think this is actually a film adaptation. It's kind of a remake. I think Akira Kurosawa first tackled this, and his film was a remake or adaptation of an American novel or some story that he had read.
Okay.
So this one's going to be a play on that, taking some of those elements and putting it into this film. But I think Spike is really remixing this thing. So in this film, when a Titan music mogul is targeted with the ransom plot, he is jammed up in a life or death moral dilemma. A reinterpretation of a Kurosawa's crime thriller, High and Low, now played out on the main streets of modern day New York City. And this is kind of cool. We've got Spike Lee directing. We also got Denzel Washington in this. Jeffrey Wright, A$AP Rocky is also in this, man. So that's kind of notable. And I already did a good job, according to the early buzz. Aubrey Joseph. Who else we got in here? Michael Potts. Ice Spice has a cameo. I don't know what her role is going to be, man. But there's some people in here, man. So I think this is a revolving around music industry stuff, so music mogul, but I don't know. That's all we know. Yeah. And I kind of appreciate that.
Nah, that's what I'm saying. 'Cause, I mean, what we get in the trailer, I mean, it's a quick spot check. I mean, it looks like, some smooth criminal gangster shit's going on. But then what really sold it for me is you get that really dope narration from Denzel. Like when he starts talking, people listen, and he's just hitting like these questions like, what would you do to get the power? What would you do to get the respect? And then once you got it, how do you keep it? Kind of taking that approach. So it really works, you know what I'm saying? And then, it's going to be in New York, where a lot of the films where, that Spike has that take place in New York, those are like a lot of his better films, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think New York also plays as a character in a lot of these films too. So that's kind of cool, man.
What is a bummer though, I mean, it's getting a limited theatrical release in August 22nd. It should be a high profile film, but it is going to be streaming on Apple Plus September 5th. But the thing is like we see that this is an A24 film, and A24 is no longer an unrecognizable production company. They are up there competing with heavy hitters, you know what I'm saying? The same way that Blumhouse now is a household name, so is A24. So I'm just kind of like disappointed that they're not putting more oomph
sucks,
into
man.
giving it a theatrical release, which would then put it in a position to create a bigger box office number, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how the streaming services work when it comes to like how the payouts go and all that stuff, but this one definitely looks like it's going to have high production value. So, you know, but yeah, the next one that I want to bring up is Predator Badlands. It's going to drop to us November 7th of this year. And I mean, pretty much the movie Prey that dropped in Hulu a few years back, it sealed all the cracks that were emerging in the Predator franchise, especially with the one that came out before Prey. So with that being said, like now that this franchise has been re-injected, you know, I like that, you know, they keep really pushing the envelope with giving us new Predators that are in different time zones, different atmospheres, different times in
Different times in
timelines,
history.
different time in history, different timeline, you know, where, and then also they're really kind of pushing the pedal hard with emphasizing the fact that there are a lot of different Predators. There are a lot of different clans of Predator. This is not just one kind of Predator that is doing all this killing. And with them dramatically changing the look of the Predator in Prey, giving him a more primal feel because of the time that we were in and the situation in which he was fighting in. Not only are they changing the Predators, but they changed the weapons to kind of, you know, fit the time that they're in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I like that, you know what I'm saying? I think it's really cool, and they have a lot of liberties, and we see that in this trailer. You know, it starts off, you know, it looks like it's more in a futuristic setting, which is understandable, considering that this species kind of is, you know, they're aliens for all intents and purposes. But you know, initially you see the Predator pick up the xenomorph skull, so they might touch on some of that AVP that's going on, which is really cool because that is a well that they could dig a lot deeper into as well. And then the Predator himself, like they took a real like a different approach, like giving him this like Viking hairstyle.
Look wild, bro.
He looks really, really wild. We were talking about it yesterday. He looks like he's kind of like got a purplish tone to him. The one thing I didn't like is he looks all the way CG'd, where I feel like the Predator, you know, in previous films, the reason why he looked so menacing was because you knew it was a dude in a bodysuit. It was the practical effect, which really kind of brought him to life. So with this one, I mean, I know CGs are the new wave, and that's cool. I just hope that, you know, he looks a little more fine-tuned, a little more easy on the eyes than what I got in the trailer. But ultimately, he does look cool. I like. Can't wait to see what kind of weapons he's got. But for me, it's really gonna hit heavy with the story arc.
I haven't liked how they looked in these last few films, but I did like Prey a whole lot. I wasn't sold on the design. I'm not really sold on my man's hair here, but it does seem like a younger Predator, you know, out here doing things. But also, I think this film's set slightly in the future because there's a scene where I think is that what's the Fanning girl?
Dakota.
Dakota Fanning.
Yeah.
So she's going to be playing. Looks like to be an android, you know, because they kind of imply that in the beginning. So, and it says they're going to team up, you know, and looking for the ultimate prey. So a lot of people are thinking this might lead to a xenomorph encounter.
Yeah.
Which is a possibility, you know, because I think, you know, they implied that this android is a Weyland Yutani you know, android, which is, you know, if you know, that's the corporation, that's the Amazon of that world, of the world of aliens and Predator, which are, you know, interconnected. So that could be interesting, man.
And it's cool that they kind of revisited that because that's what we got with the characters with Sanaa Lathan and the Predator in the first AVP. They ended up teaming up and working together to beat the xenomorphs that were brought to life in that world as well. So yeah, I mean, it looks cool. And then
is this getting an actual theatrical
release?
This
is getting a theatrical release November 7th, 2025.
Yeah, they realized how much money they lost by not putting Prey in the theaters.
Exactly. I mean, there's only so many people that can subscribe to Hulu or Disney that
so you
didn't
said
already
that's
have.
October?
No, November
Okay,
7th.
November
Predator
7th.
Badlands. But then also we're getting that other installment of Predators, it's the animated one that's on Hulu. What is that?
Predator, Killer of Killers.
Killer of Killers.
This is going to be on Hulu on June 6th, and this is a anthology film. And what's interesting about it, it's going to be a bunch of vignettes in the Predator world. So I don't know if it's going to be the same Predator, but what it's going to feature is a Predator in different scenarios throughout time, throughout history, different types of adversaries. The trailer shows a Predator actually seemingly taking on like a samurai stronghold. There's also one where it looks like it's taking place maybe this is a draft notice, so maybe this is World War I or World War II
like
era.
Fighting an air pilot, like it's like an aviator school or something. Yeah.
So that's crazy cool, and I think that's one of the things that make this character really dope to me. It's like it stands out because it's one of these characters that's simple by design, but you can get complicated with it as far as just exploring the different eras, different adversaries, different scenarios you could put these predators in, because that's all they want to do is hunt, man. And we've already established that they've been on Earth for hundreds of years. So what are their experiences throughout that hundreds of years of our history? Different parts of the world, different eras, different opponents.
And what really works for me too is that they always seek out the best of the best. I love the warrior aspect because it shows that there are many different levels of warriors and many different fields. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as you are a warrior in your craft, the predator is going to seek out the best one and try to hunt you and put your skull in its trophy case.
Man, he just harpooned a guy in a P-51 Mustang. Wow.
Jeez. And you know,
That's
the fact that this one's going to be animated, I think that's really cool too, because I mean, just think of the liberties that they're going to have, not just with the look and aesthetic of the Predator, but like the fight scenes. You know, how they can really dive into how these weapons work and all the visual effects and stuff. I'm sure it's going to be colorful and bloody. And I don't know, it always trips me out seeing animated blood. That just cartoons ain't supposed to be bloody and gory, but they.
Interestingly enough about that production, this thing it's been done for years, dude.
Really?
So what happened? It was supposed to be a Netflix thing, you know, but I think when Disney and Fox made the deal, because this is 20th Century Fox, what falls under that, Fox umbrella. Then it was in limbo, they were waiting for the deal to happen. So since now Disney has, all the Fox Studios stuff, including the Predator, including Aliens, then it finally, come around to we're getting a release date on it, so that's kind of cool. But this thing was done it was created years ago, man. From what I understand, it was finished. And to the point where at first they were saying it was going to be an anime film, but clearly it's not. This is more computer animated style,
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm really hyped for that, man. I really want to see that. But what else we got here, man? Let me check out. I think we got that's it for the trailers, man.
Yeah.
So I guess the last thing we're going to get into is what we've been watching lately, man, because we don't just watch the classics. We watch modern films. Look, hopefully we'll stumble into a classic, so that's why, we got to keep aware, keep sharp. And plus, man, sometimes, I see things that are coming out now that remind me of the classics, or you just see people, new ideas or new takes on the classic, or just want to see a good film in general, man. I love going to the movies, man.
I like seeing films that are inspired by and pay homage to the classic films, not like an official remake or reboot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just something that draws inspiration from it. You know what I'm saying? Because you see a lot of that nowadays. Because I mean, everything is pretty much an inspiration or a readaptation of a concept that we've already hit on. I mean, the movie's been out since the 20s.
Yeah, man. So what do you want to start with, man?
I'll go ahead and start with my B-rate gem that I saw a couple weeks back. It's called Arena Wars, and it was on Hulu. And this is not a super great movie by any stretch of the word, but I love the subject matter and the concept because it pretty much is a carbon copy readaptation of Schwarzenegger's The Running Man, which we just did on the classic. We just reviewed that not too long ago. We gushed about it. It's really, that movie was really good. And what I liked about this one is it had all the heart necessary to do a film in this likeness. You know what I mean? Like, the acting was good. There were some familiar faces. Most notable was my man, what's his name? Robert Lasardo. You know him if you saw him. You also got Eric Roberts, had a little cameo in there. But pretty much Like I said, it watches just like The Running Man, where you have these. It's in a super futuristic reality where this TV show is the main thing popping, and the contestants are criminals, are convicted felons that are fighting for their freedom against these supercharged, out of this world gladiators in these like crazy settings. What separates this one for me and why I'm bringing it up is because of the look of the gladiators. Like they have this like super goth steampunk look. Like there's this one dude, he kind of comes in the building and he looks like Bane. He's got all these like tubes going through him, and he's wearing this suit that keeps sounding like you're starting a lawnmower. And every time that happens, bro, what he's doing is his body is like regenerating, then recycling, reusing his adrenaline. So it's like every time you hear this
recycling, that's crazy.
Yeah, so he's just all the way juiced up without taking roids. It's his own body's adrenaline. It's repurposing his own adrenaline. There's another one that looks like a crazy clown with these knives and stuff. So they put a lot of their energy, and I'm sure a large part of the budget, into the look of these gladiator characters. And then they're in like this crazy nasty, looks like it stinks, just wet, damp, gross little environment as they go through these corridors. Like it kind of, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the Sweet Dreams video, Marilyn Manson. It's a creepy video, kind of like a horror movie music video. Scared the shit out of me when I saw it the first time when I was younger. But this looks like that setting, and these gladiators look like something that would have originally surfaced in that video. And they really sell the gladiators because like they're like supposed to be the worst of the worst criminals. They are criminals as well. It's like, and it tripped me out because the way they give out time is like, yeah, such and such gladiator, he killed 87 people in a mass shootout, whatever, woo woo woo, and he's serving 2,000 life sentences. It's like, what? How long are these people living? You're giving them all this time. But that's pretty much it. And then of course, you get your hero who is he's a criminal, or he's convicted, but he actually didn't commit the crime, and he's fighting for his freedom only because they kind of forced him, because people are like tapping out on the show once they start bringing off the list of what these other criminals that are fighting for their freedom did. It's like, it's kind of hard to root for somebody that's a convicted rapist. Like, I don't want to see him get his freedom. You know what I'm saying? They're like, yeah, he's convicted for 8,000 years because he raped 45 women. It's like, well, then you want to root for the gladiator. Like, they're both bad. So people were tapping out on the show, so they did this to kind of get more viewing. So it was overall, I do suggest giving it a watch. It's on Hulu. It's if you like Running Man, you'll like this one. Just like I said, the killing is a lot more intense, but it's worth checking out.
All right, that's what's up, man. Arena Wars. All right, so first one I'm gonna start off with. I did watch a film called Havoc, and this is pretty cool, man. This is on Netflix. And it's a crime action film. And what's interesting about it, we've got director Gareth Evans. So he also did The Raid 2. I think he shadow directed Dread, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's
the
been
second
confirmed.
one, right? Not the Stallone.
Not the Stallone.
Yeah,
Dread.
okay.
Yeah,
the good one.
The one that everybody keeps begging for a sequel for, that'll probably never happen.
Exactly.
But this film stars Tom Hardy. He's after a drug deal gone wrong, a bruised detective must fight his way through the criminal underworld to rescue a politician's estranged son, unraveling a deep web of corruption and conspiracy that ensnares his entire city. So this film stars Tom Hardy. We've also got Timothy Olyphant in this thing, man. Forrest Whitaker. Let me see. My man Luis Guzman pops up in this thing, man. There's a few people, Richard Harrington, but most of our people are also gonna be stunt people, man. So you might recognize them from other films, Jesse May Lee. But our main characters here, Tom Hardy, Olyphant, Forrest Whitaker, and Luis Guzman with the assist. But these are our main characters in this, and they kind of cross paths. But what I like about this film is just the style that it was presented. It's not rewriting the book, I don't think, in any way. I mean, the story is kind of contrived. I mean, we've seen these things done before, a few times over the years. But what I do like is the style, man. And I think that makes this thing worth watching, man. We get this really gritty, almost classic, chunky film grain look to this thing. The way it's filmed, the cinematography.
Yeah, definitely.
There's some interesting choices with some of the environmental stuff and some of the action scenes. Like, it opens up with like a truck heist gone wrong.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man. It's just a lot of action, a lot of camera movement. And then you get into the fighting, and it's just a really wild, hyper realistic world, man. Like, a lot of these guys know some martial arts, and they're busting ass, man.
Yes,
really violent, really gory, really graphic. I mean, it is a bit tropey, too, with the cops and robbers kind of stuff that's taking place in the background. But I think it has enough pop to be a entertaining ride, man. Especially with characters like Timothy Olyphant, Vincent Crowley in this film, running around causing havoc. Forrest Whitaker, I feel like he's the same guy from Godfather of Harlem in this film. You know what I'm saying? In a way, but and Tom Hardy's pretty solid, man. I even like how they have Tom Hardy's fighting, because they don't make him a ninja master.
Yeah.
He's using regular moves that a guy like him could pull off, and just using his wits to still be able to hold his own in these fights.
I like it because, cool, like you said, they got this hyper fighting going on, and he falls in line with that. But yeah, he's definitely limited. But you can see that like everybody knows how to fight this way in this world.
Except Luis Guzman, he don't.
Yeah, he don't fight. He don't get a chance to fight. And one thing I did like about Tom Hardy is the way they made him look. Like, he's a dirty cop, and he looks really dirty. Like, he looks unshowered. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, damn, dog. Like,
this looks like a dirty world. I feel like this movie's taking place in the bottom of all the shit that Blade Runner's flying over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And like all the water is like rusty that comes out the shower head. You know what I'm saying? It's just
man.
Yes. I enjoyed that film as well. Like I said, mainly, the good acting, good fight sequences, but I like that world, the way that it was shot. That was the
it's
standout
really
of
good,
the
man.
film. It's really, really cool. The next one I'm gonna go ahead and bring up is The Woman in the Yard. And I was really excited to see this one. I did not get to see it in the theater, but I'm glad that I was able to see it the way that I saw it. And pretty much, its story is cut and dry. His family, they fell on hard times, and they wake up one day. At first, you see the mother wake up. She's got a broken leg and everything. And then you see that her two children, the older son is kind of like now took on this caretaker role to his younger sister, and also helping the mother out because she is unable to move around, easily, because she's got this big broken leg going on, crutching around and everything. They wake up this one morning and look outside, and there's just this woman dressed in all black, almost like as if she was dressed like a cross between like a wedding and a funeral. So she's got all black on, but she's got the veil covering her face and everything, just sitting there chilling. And this is a farmhouse, so there's nothing around, no car next to her. You don't know how she got there. She's just there. And
that's the crazy part to me, at least from the trailer. It's like, who this
like,
chick just sitting in my yard?
And
was that chair already there, or did she bring her own?
I guess she brought it. Like, it was like a fold-out chair. It's like, but you would have saw her walking up. You know what I mean? So it's wild. And then so as we push through the film and stuff, she just kind of keeps getting closer to the house and everything. So this film, like, I really like, it sets the tone with the tension building out the gate. I was locked in, and the first 70% of the film was really, really good to me. It was very well acted too. Like, you get it's no high profile names or no one that I recognize from other films. You got the woman who was played by Oka Wasali. I know I butchered her name. I'm sorry to death for that. But then you got Danielle Deadwyler playing the mother, and then you got Peyton Jackson playing the oldest son. The most recognizable guy to me was what's his name?
Russell Hornsby.
You know what I'm saying?
That's Big Meech and them daddy.
Yeah, exactly. And then the young sister was played by Estella Kahaya. But that's it. That's all we get from the cast. But yeah, so like I said, I mean, it was acted really well, high energy. They were really selling their character arcs. And the film was really, really good. Had a very strong concept. But what fell apart for me was the end, the way it was executed at the end, the way everything kind of came full circle. I saw it coming, and that kind of made it underwhelming to me because, you know, it lightened the blow for me, you know what I'm saying? But it was brought to the light, and the build-up is what really worked for me. I do suggest anyone who hasn't seen the film, go ahead and check it out, because one thing it really did remind me of is I saw this YouTube short film. It was a few years ago, actually. It was called Don't Look Away, and pretty much same concept. There was this brother and this sister in this house, and they're looking in the yard. There's this figure in the yard, and anytime you look away from it, it gets closer, ultimately finding its way all the way into the house. And then the dad bursts in, and the dad's like, "Man, don't look away. You know, I've been looking at him, for like 2 days," kind of thing. And
I got stuff to do though. Like
that's what I'm saying. It's like, who can sit and stare at something that ain't supposed to be there in the first place? You know what I'm saying? It's like shit.
What if you gotta take a dump or you gotta
yeah,
pee?
or like
where
imagine
at?
calling off work. Like, sorry, I can't come into work today. I gotta stare at this figure in my front yard. You know?
That's wild.
But it was a really cool short movie. It's called Don't Look Away on YouTube. Check that out. But I feel like that, this film, drew inspiration from movies like that. So it was cool. I enjoyed the watch. I just was kind of unsatisfied with the way the ending was executed.
The way it wrapped up.
Yeah, but strong subject matter though, and it does come with a disclaimer, so it does hit on a heavy note that is realistic when you take out the supernatural element. So it's definitely worth checking out.
All right, that's what's up, man. What else I got here, man? So I want to talk about The Monkey. Yeah, I think we reviewed this a little while ago, me and Courtney, but we didn't talk about it on here yet, man. I don't think, and yeah, that's a great film, man.
It is a great film.
Like it's
I'm glad you brought it up.
Like the premise is crazy. I think this is Oscar Good Perkins' best film, man. I hated Long Legs, bro. I did not like that, but this thing, I think
It ain't that bad.
I didn't like that movie, man. This I think redeems him for me as a director. It's a crazy premise, man. This family becomes haunted by this toy monkey, and it's the interesting about this toy monkey. Anytime you activate it, you wind it up, starts playing the drums. Anytime it plays the drums, somebody's going to die in a Final Destination kind of way.
Yes.
A random person.
Yes.
And it's cool because what's interesting enough, I thought was really good too, is our main guy here, the actor in this. He's playing two people. He's pulling a Sinners type performance in this film. So he's playing both of these brothers, and both of these brothers react totally different to this monkey. One of them kind of sees this monkey as something that he can use and manipulate. Played by Theo James. He plays both of the brothers in this film. And it's cool, man. One of them is like, yo, I'm gonna use this to, I'm gonna sick this on my enemies or manipulate things around me. And the other one is just trying to keep it from other people from finding out about it and taking advantage of it and unleashing this hell on earth. But it's a fun movie. It's got some gory deaths in it. But I think it has a really healthy dose of dark humor in this thing.
Yes.
It's fun. It keeps it going as the plot unravels and these characters kind of, everything comes to a head. It is one of my favorite things that I've seen in the theaters, this past year so far.
I'm with you 100%, especially when it comes to the horror aspect. And, I like that they took the lighter approach. The comedic value that this film has, what I'm saying? It kind of waters down the gore aspect, the way that these people are getting killed, because it is really rough. If they were to take away the funny, it would be pretty gruesome. And just the concept, what I'm saying? It's just something about that, like, what would you do if you were given 3 wishes? Like that genie element, this one kind of has that. And they really push the pedal, and then it comes down to morality between the two brothers, what I'm saying? And everybody knows that when it comes to family situations, it's not always peaches and cream. You don't always get along with your siblings or whatever the case may be, and the fact that they both just have completely different intentions when it comes to the monkey being fully aware that they know what it can do. Super dope.
Yeah, really great film, man.
Yes, indeed. So I'm the next one that I saw. I'm really excited to talk about this one, man. Was The Rule of Jenny Penn, which it was dropped to us about a month ago on Shudder, and This one, man, I had to double down on this one because it was just it was jaw dropping watching it the first time, and I had to sit down and watch it again just conceptually. So it's kind of like a face value film through and through, like where you get this guy he was a judge, and he has a stroke, and then he has to he's unable to take care of himself independently, and he doesn't have a family that's willing to take care of him, so he has to go into a nursing home. And this nursing home is being terrorized by one of the people that are already living there, who's played by John Lithgow. And he is he's a bully on the yard, man. He runs around. He's got. And plus, he's a big guy, size and stature, so he's already menacing.
He's probably taller than Vinny D.
Absolutely. And he's got the intimidation factor when it comes to size and stature. But what was really creepy is he runs around. He's got this little puppet, a baby puppet with no eyes, and he, like, in his mind, this character or this puppet that he wears is actually like a living kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you answer to Jenny Penn. Jenny Penn puts these rules down, and like there's even this part where he like when he's after he's done bullying you up, he'll put his wrist out and be like, now kiss Jenny Penn's ass, kind of thing, which is his wrist. It's like, dude, this is very very tripped out, conceptually. But where the film like really excels is it's shock value. Like when you're seeing the things that are happening because of the subject matter. Like, fact of the matter is, we all get old. We all get older, and some of us are thrust in a position where once we are no longer able to take care of ourselves, we have to go in these assisted living homes. And
I might just walk away and never come back.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, right?
Just walk into the woods.
Because the thing is like if you're put in that position, you don't have a choice. Okay, you're gonna have to go.
You got a choice.
You do. But we're not gonna talk about that. Okay, so you get put in one of these places because you don't for whatever the reason, whether it's a family thing or whatever. And then, but the thing that you cannot control is who is in there with you and how these people are being regulated, or how like what they're being able to get away with. Some people are more able-bodied than others, you know what I'm saying? And like, imagine somebody that's in there that they can't see, and then they might get messed with in certain ways, or someone that is unable to move from the neck down, things like that. So it really,
it's like beefing with your celly and they can't do nothing.
Yeah.
If you was in prison.
So with this one, what it ultimately does is it becomes a siege film, as this dude suffers from a stroke. So he's not only is he trapped in this environment, but he's trapped within his own body. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So and this Jenny Penn dude is like, he knows this and he's messing with this dude. So I'm not gonna spoil this, but man, I strongly suggest watching it because like I said, conceptually, it is real-time relevant and realistically scary. Okay, it puts a lot of thoughts in your mind. And the thing of it is we get John Lithgow. He puts this film on his back. He shoulders the load. He gives a great performance, because the thing about Lithgow, he's lovable in Harry and the Hendersons. He's a nice guy, but the films that he stands out in most with me is when he's giving a performance of someone who is crazy or someone who is a villain, and he's giving us both in this. He's a crazy villain, and he's old, and he's supposed to be nice, and he's not. So it's really wild seeing this, but man, it was just it was such an entertaining film. Like I said, just the shock value of it, it was just wild. Like I said, it was almost like jaw dropping, seeing this film when it starts from the beginning to the end. How it ends, it's just like, man, wow.
Yeah, Cornelius gave it a good review too, man. He said he liked this one a lot, man. So I'll make sure I put it on my list to check out. So the next one I got is going to be the Thunderbolts, man. And this is the latest Marvel, big superhero film. And I will say this, man, for the most part, man, I rather enjoyed this film. Let me get you the details real quick. This kind of hit me on the rim in the vein of the Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy, but this is directed by Jake Schreier. And this film is snared in a death trap, an unconventional team of anti-heroes, Yelena, Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, Ghost, Taskmaster, and John Walker embarks on a dangerous mission that forces them to confront the darkest corners of their past. And I will say this feels like a return to like a smaller in scope pictures. That's what this thing feels like. You do get a lot of cool banter and stuff with the characters, especially between Red Guardian and Yelena. I think they make up the heart of this film. Bucky does show up in this, but he pops in on the second half of the film. You know what I'm saying? But what I do like about this thing, it does establish a lot of forward motion. For the Marvel film franchise, in general. I feel like we're building up again, kind of how we did in earlier phases. This feels like a build up, and also it kind of explains just the state of the world, since there's references to the blip, the people disappearing. There's references to some of the invasions, some of the the other crazy events. What I like about this too, there's even a reference to, the president turned into a Red Hulk. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So they're directly representing the film that came right before them. And there's some cool stuff, man. I think also another standout here isn't even the heroes themselves, man. It's the secondary characters. Shout out to Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She plays Valentina Allegra De Fontaine. I think that's her name. So she's, in a way, I feel like since how can I explain this? Since my boy Fury has been out in space lately, you know what I'm saying? I think she's kind of taken up his role. Like, she's leading these Black Ops aspects of these operations. She's actually the one that puts this play with the Thunderbolts into motion.
Right.
And she's going to be a central character, I think, going forward as far as just government, superhero relations, and things of that nature. And like, it's wild because I don't feel like she's kind of like Fury to me, but in a way, I was explaining to Corny, she's not. I think Fury has a little bit more integrity than her. It's like they both have the same mission, but she's not above getting dirty to get the mission done. You know what I'm saying? And that leads to some real funny interactions, man. Shout out to Wendell Pierce, who comes up in this, and he's funny because he's bugging her at least a couple times during this movie.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of like doing congressional oversight, and I kind of hope that they keep that running for the next 4 or 5 films. If we get a scene with him and her just going at it, that'll be fun as hell. But she really brings a really big dimension to this. I didn't think I would like her character as much, coming forward, but I think she first appeared in Wakanda Forever, you know, so to see her come in here and give this film a really big boost and assist, that was great. But once again, man, Florence Pugh as Yelena, Black Widow's sister, she carries the bulk of this film. She's got a real emotional scene in this thing, and it's solid, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the thing. Like, I gotta rate it though. Like, it's good enough for me. I think a lot of more people, their reactions, they're loving it a little bit more than me. But I think I got this film slightly above Captain America 4, and I think Captain America 4 is a good film, man. I think it got dogged, but I think this film probably enjoys a slicker edit. It seems more streamlined. Like Cap 4 has some rough edges, and you could tell they were probably handicapped by having to jam in extra scenes to give exposition for future events, whereas I don't think this film suffered that, and it's allowed to live out and breathe on its own. And also shout out to this film's post-credit scene, probably one of the best ones Marvel has ever done. Interestingly enough, that scene was filmed, I think they were saying 4 weeks before this film premiered.
Really?
Because it was filmed while they're shooting the new Doom film, which is being directed by the Russo brothers. So the Russo brothers actually direct this post-credit scene, and you can't really tell the difference, bro, because the characters are still there. The writing matches, like I can't tell the difference, man. So I got high hopes for Marvel going forward. Thunderbolts is a good time. It's good enough, and I don't think I'll probably be one that I'll rush back to as many times as I have other films, but it is a good film for where it's at to take and It was good momentum,
There you go.
especially we got Fantastic Four
Yeah.
coming soon. Superman, I'm really hyped for
Yeah,
Superman, bro. I can't wait to see that, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the Thunderbolts, man. Once it drops for streaming, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
So what do you got, man?
Next one I got, I'm really excited to talk about this one. It's a film called The Electric State. It dropped on Netflix a few weeks back. And first things first, I mean, this thing has an all-star cast through and through. Front running with Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt, but then you get Quay Hoi Kwan, you get Stanley Tucci, you get Anthony Mackie, Woody Harrelson, Jason Alexander, Michelle Yeoh, Giancarlo Esposito. Giancarlo, there you go, yeah. Don Pollo from Breaking Bad. I mean, amongst others, there's just so much talent in this film through and through. And the thing of it is that, you know, I like films like this that put you in a time capsule and take you to a certain time. This one does that for the 90s. From the music that's playing in the background, the soundtrack, the clothes, the lingo, and you know, they do that well. And what really works for me is the story, this concept, because it emphasizes how humans are dependent on computers, where we live in a world now where robots have become built and made to be service providers to humans for all kinds of things. They're not just a maid service or something like that. I mean, these robots that they invented, it's like they almost put humans in a position to not do anything for themselves, you know. And what ends up happening is the robots, they get fed up. They're like, dude, we are more than just service providers to these humans that are just pretty much just wearing us down, you know what I'm saying, using us, treating us just like we are nothing, like we are just robots there to do your bidding. And so what ends up happening is there's an uprising with the robots, and then the humans and the robots go to war. And at first the robots are winning because, of course, you know what I'm saying, they are, I mean, with humans being so dependent on their services and these robots being built to, you know, be better than humans, pretty much, almost like the same what you get from Terminator, you know what I'm saying? And what ends up happening is then the way the humans can fight back is, you know, the humans come up with this almost like a virtual reality type looking machine where you put this thing on your head and then you can control a robot. You know what I'm saying?
Like
Pacific Rim in a sense. Yeah. And but the thing is that of course the humans, you know, they win the war, but then what happens is the humans become so hyper fixated on this zombified state where they want to live in their virtual realities. They don't want to live in their own realities anymore. So you got people like just in the streets, just wearing these virtual helmet things, just kind of vegging out, you know, on the streets, like not living their lives, or people that just only can live in the past, you know what I'm saying, because their reality is just so unappealing to them, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that was, like, for this to be a lighthearted film, that was some heavy subject matter that is actually things that people need to kind of take a look in the mirror and see where you're at in your life now. Like, are you living more in the real world, or are you living in a shell in your own reality that you've created through all these technical advances that are now laid out in front of us, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of like really cool to see that being, you know, given and delivered in this film, in a PG-13 family style film that is just oversaturated with jokes and lightheartedness and great acting. But what really stood out to me was the special effects, the look of these robots. It's amazing. They don't look CG. And you know what really brings all of these robots to life is they're all individualized with their own personalities. You can tell that these robots in this world, they do have feelings. You know what I'm saying? They do have an emotional compass, and like they might not feel pain, but they know what it is to die. You know what I'm saying? When their circuits are, you know, no longer working, when their bulb runs out, so to speak. And you know, that like kind of hits a heavy note and tugs on the heartstrings as you start to get an emotional attachment to some of these robots. And it's like, man, you don't want to see things happen. My favorite personally was the baseball robot. Like he's out there. He pretty much was like what you would get if you went to the batting cages. but he had personality. So he spit baseballs at you and stuff, and you can hit him. But he also totes a bat. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what his full functionality was when he was built, but he plays a significant role in this film, you know, with what he brings to the table as the film progresses. And I mean, what you get from Woody Harrelson as Mr. Peanut, he's kind of like the leader of the robots and stuff. And they just kind of have them living almost like refugees or something, like the same way that the aliens were treated in District 9. That's how the robots are now being treated in this world, where they're fighting for their survival and stuff. And it was just such an entertaining film and very fast paced. It's about 2 hours long, a little over 2 hours, but it plays fast, it hits heavy, very, very entertaining. Probably one of the better Netflix films I've seen this year. I mean, this one running parallel almost with Havoc, you know what I'm saying? And maybe could take the lead, depending on, you know, what kind of subject matter you're really into, you know, whether you like the John Wick style hyper fighting and that kind of stuff, or if you like this a little more lighthearted but still hits hard with the subject matter.
All right, good. Next one I'm gonna get into is a film called Freaky Tales, and
That's a good one.
I can't really describe this film, man. I will say it is a little bit. It's kind of a mishmash, man. Like, my best description of it. You ever watched Heavy Metal?
Yes.
So imagine Heavy Metal, right? And instead of this little green energy being an entity that's evil, it's one that's helpful. And then you set this thing in 1987 Oakland. You know, I think that's what you would get. You would get Freaky Tales, man.
Yeah.
And it's wild. So this story is about, I think it's about 4 individual, you know, areas that this film covers. It's broken up into 4 chapters. 87 Oakland, 4 groups of characters, you know, because some of them are solo characters, some of them are groups. So we've got 2 kind of punk kids. You know, they're trying to battle these skinheads. You know, you got a debt collector who's trying to retire. You got 2 aspiring rappers, and you've also got a basketball player. You know,
NBA star for the Warriors.
Yeah, for the
For
Warriors.
the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
playing with Chris Mullin.
Yeah, man. So what surprised me about this was the presentation of this thing.
Yeah.
It has a real retro feel. You know, at times, you know, you look like you're looking at old grainy videotape, you know, like an old VCR tape. And it's just so cool, man. It's so Oakland. It's narrated by Too Short.
That was dope.
Which is crazy. At one point, you know, our group of rappers, they actually battle him in one of the scenarios. But this thing is really good, man. This might be probably one of my favorite films that I've seen lately, man.
Yeah.
It just has so much, you know, to offer. Especially, like I said, it mashes up so many genres. At one point in that first chapter, this battle with the skinheads starts looking like, you know, reminds me of Scott Pilgrim in a way when they start fighting, yo, and it's just balls to the walls. I really do like what's the name story, played by Pedro Pascal, the debt collector.
Debt
That
Collector,
gets
yeah.
kind of deep, man, and this is really cool just to see them playing around with so many genres, because you're jumping from something that's fun and campy to something that's like serious crime territory. And then, you know, they get a little fun again, you know, with the rapper stuff, and then, you know, Sleepy Floyd is just on a whole nother level.
That was my favorite
That feels
installment.
like a scene out of Havoc, yo,
Yeah,
like in a
yes.
way, you know. So this thing was a really great mashup of talent, just the genre, experiment with the film, the cinematography, the music, everything was just such a high level in this, man. It's so great, dude.
And you know what I really liked about it is it hits like an anthology where like it's broken down in chapters, but even though you're getting these individual stories about what's going on at this time in Oakland, it's all interconnected. Like you see, as the film progresses, our characters are crossing paths with each other in one way or another, whether it's a phone call, whether it's sitting at the diner, whether it's, you know, finding out who the big bad is and how they're connected with other people that are doing, you know, bad things. That's really cool, because, you know, when it comes to anthology films, you know, that is the main ingredient to me, is why are all these stories being connected? Why are they being told in the first place? And
Yeah.
how are they connected to each other? And this one really does that. Love the last installment. What you get from Sleepy, like you said, it is just I mean, it is just all the way revved up action,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really cool because you know what, this kind of has like a Sin City feel to me as well.
Yeah,
where
Sin City.
It's like comic booky, where you can tell it's a hyper reality, but still is carrying a realistic tone. Like when I watched it with my daughter, and afterwards I was like, these stories, I would not be surprised if they were inspired by or taken from actual events that happened in Oakland at that time, and then they of course sprinkled their movie magic all over.
It's cool because even the Sleepy Floyd stuff is sprinkled in with the playoff match.
Yeah.
It was the Lakers and the Warriors.
That's what I'm
You know what I'm
saying.
saying?
Yeah.
and they're reanimating, parts of that game, that happened on the night when that stuff happens.
Yeah. Or
But-
even like the punk rock scene. I mean, this is when that scene was heavy in that area at that time. And I mean, you could easily see now, of course, what we get on screen and what we see in this, the way it happens in this movie might be a little, a little over the top, but I mean, you could easily see, this kind of encounter happening at that time, and these kind of brawls and battles happening in the streets as it, as it spills over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's cool, and even just the overlap, man. Because like, there's that one scene where the skinheads drive by the two rapper girls, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Fuck you," and then the punk rocker girl has their back, and then boom, and then later on they actually give Sleepy Floyd some intel
Yeah.
to help him with his situation.
You know what I love is how we're able to bring this all the way full circle back to the Monster Mania convention, because two of the stories, the two punks just came out of the movie theater, the two rappers just came out of the movie theater, and they saw what movie?
Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys.
yeah. So that was cool, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a cool flick, man. It's definitely one worth, I'm definitely gonna watch this a bunch probably this year, man. Just,
Yes,
now that I
definitely.
kind of know the story, just put it on in the background. Look for different stuff now. There's some cool cameos in this, man.
Yeah.
One of my favorite actors ever pops up in this, and you're like, how did they get him for this, man? And even Pedro, man, that was a
Yeah.
big get. It's
Yeah.
not. It's probably didn't take long to film what was going on, but that adds a lot of gravitas to this movie. Him being in this thing, man,
Yeah.
it's really dope, man. Definitely check it out. You can get this one now because it didn't get a theatrical release. I would have liked to have seen it in the theater
Yeah,
with a
definitely.
crowd. But you could rent it now, or you could buy it outright too. I don't know if it got a physical release yet, but I look forward to that if they do, man. I wonder if they'll get into the details of how they put it together. But this is a really, really fun film, man.
Yeah, definitely. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm like you. I'm going to watch this one multiple times because you there are extra Easter eggs, things that you just didn't catch the first time because you're just so overwhelmed in the best way possible with everything else that's happening, what you're seeing. And there's great music in there too. All that late 80s classic, Oakland
I
hip hop.
love that scene where
Yes.
there's like a pivotal scene where Pedro's about to do something that he can't undo,
Mm-hmm.
and that the little kid walks up to him trying to sell him a tape, the little hustler, and I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
this is awesome. And the little dude had some game. It
Yes,
wasn't
he
just-
did.
He's like, everything you want is on this tape.
Yup.
There's no way you could have said no to buying this tape, man.
he's bringing up relevant artists at the time, hip hop wise, soul music. He's even like, yeah, man, if you're into that heavy metal stuff, we
Yeah.
got some Metallica on there too.
Yeah, I almost wanted to pause the screen and see what was on the tape because
Yeah.
he has it written. It's old school. It's like a cassette tape with every
Yeah.
song written out.
But there's at least like 20 to 30 songs on
yeah,
that
man.
tape.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But I think I'm gonna wrap this up, man. We got Sinners. This is my last one, man. And honestly, this film deserves everything that is getting spoken about this film, man. It's amazing, dude. Like, it's a triumph, man. Shout out to Ryan Coogler for putting this together. I will say this, man. This is really a basic B-movie story, bro. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But what Ryan Coogler has done as a filmmaker boosts this thing up to such a higher degree, man. So the story is, we've got two brothers. They're coming back from the war. After the war, they went to work for the mob. Irish and Italian mobs pretty much ripped them off. flee Chicago, come back to their home down south, and their plan is to open a club and hopefully, live out the rest of their life. So they open in the juke joint. So this film takes place in about 24 hours, and it shows them, actually going through the process of getting the club going. They hire a musician, played by Delroy Lindo. Shout out to Slim. Yeah, this film also stars Michael B. Jordan. He plays both of the brothers. They're twin brothers. We've also got Wumi Musaka. We've got Yeah, my man Delroy Lindo in this as well. And let me bring up this cast real quick, man, because this is crazy, man. It's not a big cast, but they're pretty potent. Yeah, also Omar Benson Miller, aka 10 Freaky Girls. Jamie Lawson.
Man, yeah.
We also got Miles Caton, man, in this. He plays our blues guy, but like I say, man, so there follows the 24 hours of them starting to open this club. So they get everything done in the daytime. And during that time, I think it's really, this is pretty much the first half of the film. And I think that's where we get the elevation, man, because this is pretty much a genre film, man, horror. But I think that extra half hour runtime on this allows us to establish these characters, get familiar with them. Even the environment, the setting this takes place in, the rural Jim Crow South, that's another character that's adding dimension to this thing, man. There's so many scenes in this that are hitting you back to back where you're just soaking in just top level filmmaking, man. Like almost every introduction just pops, man. Every angle, very calculated, very deliberate. You know, there's nothing on this thing I think was a mistake, bro. If you see some magic happening on that screen, that shit was intentional. But eventually, you know, over the course of that, we get introduced to our other character, Remick, played by, shout out to this guy. He did a great job, man. This guy's a really good character actor, man. Also, Haley Stanfield, she's in this as well. But our guy, Remick, played by Jack O'Connell, who is also in the upcoming 28 Years Later. So I'm looking forward to seeing more work from him. But he plays a vampire. We meet him. He's on the run. Like, they're on his heels, bro. And luckily, by the skin of his teeth, you know, he survives and catches wind that this juke joint is opening. So his plan is to go there, and it's going to be a full house. And, you know, nobody's going to come help. So that's his plan. He's going to, you know, increase his ranks. You know, he's going to get some food in the meantime. And think about that. If he takes this juke joint, he'll have a hideout, you know, so to speak. So that's what happened. This film is about that. These brothers, they open their spot, you know, they start having fun, and then all of a sudden Remick comes knocking, and then it goes from there, man. But I will say this, man, like I said, the filmmaking and this thing is great, man. It's like, I feel like this thing is gonna win some awards, but I don't know if it's gonna get the majors, because what tends to happen with horror, the Academy,
they get
you know,
snuffed.
they back off.
They
you
get
know,
snuffed.
once you get to the major categories, I know it could definitely win cinematography, probably visual effects, practical effects kind of shit, costuming. It is a period film, man, so it's taking place in the 30s, so which is dope because you get all of that in there too, man. Like the one of my favorite scenes is like sequences. There's a couple of these scenes because they're driving at a couple points, but they're driving through the countryside in this thing, in this open top, old school, like it looks like a Model T. I don't know what the car is, but you know what I'm saying? Those style cars, and they're just talking to brothers. They're wilding. You see the big blue country sky, yo. It's just really cool, man. Just seeing how this whole thing gets pulled together, man. And it's just a fun ride, man. It taps into things I don't think a lot of films tapped in. Like I love Dust Till Dawn. This is definitely Dust Till Dawn inspired.
Yeah, that's what I got when I saw the trailer.
Like Coogler says it himself, that's one of the films that inspired him. But he also was inspired by Salem's Lot. You know what I'm saying? He says that. He was also inspired by to make this film, the Coen Brothers films. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely some Brother Where Art Thou in here. Also the Robert Johnson Sold My Soul to the Devil, you know, story with the blues. And the blues is prominent in here, man, especially with our character Miles Caton, who plays Sammy, who kind of gets this whole thing going because his music is so good. It draws the people in, but it also can attract evil. And that's where Remick gets on the radar. But this thing, man, it pop. I've seen this thing 3 times, bro.
Yeah,
already in the theater.
That's where you got me beat. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm gonna go again today. If nothing shake up, I might go in that joint again. Like,
I haven't seen it yet. I'm definitely going to make it a point. I'm gonna make it a point to see it. I was pulled in by the trailer. Like I said, you know, anything that kind of has that Dust Till Dawn feel to it, I would definitely check out just because I like that movie so much, and it's just it's a cool approach on the whole vampire aesthetic. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see this, and I'm hearing nothing but good things. Everybody I'm crossing paths with is saying, man, you ain't seen Sinner yet, you're late.
I think that's probably the big disconnect I got. Like, I love Dust Till Dawn, and the crazy thing about it, it makes me think of like like that film was really great to me, dude. But then I think, what if Robert Rodriguez had time to tap into that Mexican culture? It takes place in Mexico. What if you had time to really get some commentary in on that? And it probably did, because I think Tarantino wrote that story, you know. So and it's just Rodriguez directing it.
The focal point was more so on the brothers, and then how, you know, the criminal element, and then, you know, them hijacking the family. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, there's some elements of that in this too, but like, I don't know. Like maybe it's just two different ideologies or two different styles, but it's like, what could, you know what I'm saying? And like, honestly, I gotta look at the runtime on that thing, because this thing is working with 2 hours, man, and I don't think Dusk Till Dawn has that much time to even, you know, get all that in there. Yeah. Honestly, they're close, but yeah, it's just
different focus
different
points.
It's different, you know, focal points, man, because there's a lot of similarities in that, man. But also, I don't know. I think when you see it, you're gonna see what I'm talking about, bro. Because it's like I think what happens later on with Rodriguez's career, when we get to Mariachi and Desperado, those have more of that Mexican, you know, influence in there. You know, more dealing into that, like, you know, tapping into the culture
definitely.
of it, man.
Well,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely gonna bring Dusk Till Dawn up on the main show. That's definitely gonna get hit, and I know I'll see Sinners by the time we do that. So
Yeah, but it's cool, man. It's definitely, you know, one of the best things that I've seen this year. It's going to be curious to see how people treat it. You know what I'm saying? By the, you know, once the awards stuff comes around, I feel like the smaller stuff will recognize it, but I'm curious to see what the Academy does. And with that said, I think we out of here, man. Hope y'all enjoy your Mother's Day. Call your mama.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And we're probably gonna be back soon. I think next up on deck, I gotta look at what we got in the can.
Kickboxer.
Yeah, but I'm talking about what's coming out.
Oh,
next.
what's coming out? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Critters. Actually, that's
There you
gonna
go.
be the next episode. You know, so look forward to that soon, folks. And we're gonna be back soon. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for the folks that are tuning in now. Thanks for checking out, hanging with us. Thanks to the new member. You know what I'm saying? Shout out, Rich.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon, man. We're probably gonna get more regular on these, man. So I'm trying to come out with these lives at least every, you know, 2 weeks. You know, so we'll keep you posted on that. You know. We're back soon, man.
Yeah.
Anything you wanna say?
Thanks again for checking us out. You know what I'm saying? For the support, you know, whether it's live, whether it's the classic show, you know, we appreciate it all. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, call your moms. Tell your moms that you love them.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day.
Yes,